A few weeks ago, I made a bold claim.
I know things about people that not even you guys remember about yourselves. So.
Oh yeah, don't mess with Caitlyn. She knows all.
So I made a Shintarocraft lore quiz to justify what I said. Okay, just kidding. I wanted an excuse to lore dump. And also, I've always wanted to take a lore quiz, but no one ever made one. So I went for the next best thing, to write one myself and make everyone take it. This quiz was intended to be impossible to pass. The questions drew from the entirety of server history from day 1 until now. But even if you're a day 1 player, you're probably unlikely to pass because some of the trivia was so impossibly obscure that the only way you are getting it right is luck. And also, in order to fail as many people as possible, I put a lot of thought into making the fate options sound even more plausible than the real answer. And it was so much fun watching everyone fall for them. But anyway, I have time to get into the questions. Question 1. When did the server start? And the correct answer is March 22nd, 2024. There's not much to say about the option design here, although I did have to specify the time zone to prevent ambiguity. And this was meant to be the easiest one, the one that everyone should be able to answer correctly, because even if you weren't there on day 1, which should be the case for most of the active players at the moment, you could just look it up on Discord, right here. So I'm 15 hours ahead of PST, so it shows March 23rd for me. But for everyone else taking the test and researching, it should say March 22nd, 2024. Yet somehow, less than half the people got it right. Like, what? And the funniest thing is, look at this one. Jace got the first question wrong, and this really surprised me. Anyway, question 2. Who got the most kills in the third Hunger Games? And the answer is Toast, with 6 kills. This was also an easier one, partially because most of the active players were there for the event, but mostly because I did post a list of statistics on Discord not long after the event. So you see here, Toast got 6 kills, even though he only played in the first of 2 rounds. Lego got 5 kills, Jopio got 4, and Ismail got 1 kill. Lego and Ismail were bait options because everyone knows they're good at PvP. So hopefully these people who chose Lego did it because of my bait. Oh, and by the way, I counted the kills from both rounds together, although it wouldn't matter because interestingly there is 0 overlap in kills. And question 3. Which of the following events had the most participants? And the answer is the second TNT War, which had 12 players. You can see that in my event intro. Yeah, so if you pause the video here, at around 20 seconds, you can count the names. I used this shot of every player on the glass platform for my intro for this event. There was me, Ghost, Frostimber, Wiry, JD, and Energy on one team, and Lego, Egg, Big Seal, Rexter, Matt, and Beef on the other team. That makes 12 players. As for the other options, the second battle event had 8 players, and you can figure this out if you look through Lego's stream of the event. Yeah, here, you can see that there are 8 names on the brackets. Or actually, if you go to the battle event arena itself, you can check the brackets. Here, as you can see, there was Big Seal, Wiry, Matt, and Ghost on one team, and Lego, Rexter, Egg, and I on the other team. That makes 8 players for the second battle event. The second tournament event had 10 players. I have a video on that event with an intro, and if you pause and count the names, yeah, you can see that there were 10 players in this event. As for the second Hunger Games, 5 players showed up to that event. It was me, Egg, Big Seal, Beef, and JD, with Energy and Matt spectating. You can see this if you go to my video on this event and count the players in the game. Here, beef, big seal, this is egg, and JD is here. So yeah, 5 players. This makes the TNT War the event with the most participants. Outside of these options though, the event with the most participants is actually the 3rd Hunger Games. Here, we had 13 players in the first round, and Ismail joined in the second round, so there were 14 players total. However, this option would be too obvious, so I didn't put it into the test. And before I move on, there's something about this question that I didn't expect. I think there was a bit of confusion about which Hunger Games I was asking about. We played 2 rounds during the most recent Hunger Games, and I think some people may have thought that round 1 was Hunger Games 2 and round 2 was Hunger Games 3. And that might explain why many people chose Hunger Games 2, even though that was an event from last year and you guys would have no idea how many people showed up to this event. So anyway, there has actually been 3 Hunger Games in Shintarocraft history. The first 2 were from last year in August and November 2024, and they used the same arena. And the recent one was the 3rd Hunger Games. Question 4. How did the pit battle tradition start? I did arrange the order of the questions loosely based on difficulty, and this is where the questions start getting harder. The answer is bonus matches after an event. If you go through Lego's streams, he streams almost all of the Shintarocraft events, and you can find that the Spleef event is the first one to have pit battles. Here. So yeah, Lego's stream is the intended source for this question. However, Gino found a source that I actually forgot about. He cited Jace's announcement in Shintarocraft News, where he mentioned hosting 1v1 pit battles after the event. And that is actually much easier to find than what I had planned. So yeah, that was awesome. As for the other options, so you know how I mentioned that I designed the other options to sound more plausible than the real answer? Well, this is an example. So if you don't know the answer and you're trying to guess, I feel like the vague ones would look less plausible, while adding a bunch of specific details would make it look more believable, you know? So it's like how when you lie, you gotta add a bit of truth to make the lie believable. So yeah, see how the incorrect options are actually more detailed than the correct one. This one, to break the tie in the Spleef event. The traditions of the pit battles started in the Spleef event, and there was a sort of a tie in the event between me and Lego and Ghost, but the tie was broken with shovel PvP inside the arena and not a pit battle. And this other one, people challenged each other to 1v1s, so Lego built a pit arena. At this point, most people would know that Lego built the pit arena and that we frequently challenge each other to pit battles, so you might think that this sounds the most plausible. I mean, Rexter fell for the bait for this one. And honestly, it just makes me very happy to see that a lot of people chose the 3rd option, because it pretty much confirms that my fake worked alright. Yeah, sorry, I'm evil. Question 5. Which one of these Kate farms was built using a tutorial? Everyone knows that I built a ton of farms, and because I keep talking about it, most people also know that I don't like tutorials and almost always design my own farms. And the answer is the Froglight farm. I used the tutorial I found on the Minecraft wiki to build that one. The other options are the farms that had been assumed to be from a tutorial before. The bartering farm is very commonly assumed to be a tutorial farm. The iron farm, well, I'm not very sure, but I believe it was Egg who thought it was a tutorial. And several people, such as Toast, thought that my gunpowder disc farm was a tutorial farm, and when I said it wasn't, he said that I should make a tutorial video on it. Yeah, if you can't tell already, I'm very proud of the fact that my homemade farms are good enough that people think I used a tutorial. Question 6. Which farm doesn't currently exist on Shintarocraft? And the answer is a witch farm. Ghost and Frostimber have a dripstone farm at their base. Matt has a turtle scoot farm, and Daisy has a trident farm that is currently claimed by me. I think the reason why we still don't have a witch farm is that we've never had a shortage of redstone thanks to the TNT War creative mode redstone components. And also, raid farms basically produce witch drops anyway. Something interesting here though is that Rexstar mentioned in his quiz video that he saw ghosts talking about wanting to build a witch farm and assumed that he did build it. And I was there, I saw that conversation as well. And to be fair, I am not 100% certain that a witch farm has not been built yet. I'm assuming he hasn't though, because I'm almost permanently on the server and I haven't seen Ghost online for that long or mention having built the farm in chat. So yeah, there is a slight chance that I might be wrong, but I think that the chances are very low. Also, Gino cited a message I forgot I sent in Shintarocraft General in a conversation about farms that don't exist yet on the server, and I didn't take that into account, but that is actually an amazing find. Question 7. Which of the following farms was not erased in the October 2024 Nether rollback? And the answer is my old gold farm. In October 2024, shortly before the Skywars event, the server ran out of storage and the Nether was reset during the chaos. So Jace restored the Nether to a backup from July 4th, meaning that any farm built from July to October would be erased. I built my gold farm in June 2024, so it survived the rollback, although the auto-crafters I set up after the Trial Chambers update were reversed. I built the Warden farm for Warden heads in August 2024. The Froglight farm was built in September 2024, and the Gold XP farm was built in October 2024. And honestly, if you weren't there when it happened, you'd probably have no way of knowing which farm wasn't erased, so you'd have to guess. And hopefully, you guys chose the Gold XP farm because its scale made you think that there's no way that we rebuilt that twice. But yeah, we actually did. Egg and I built the Gold XP farm twice over. I had to regather 60 something stacks of magma blocks and it was such a hassle. Question 8. First ever image frame created on the server. And the answer is Woo Studio. If you search for Jace's announcement introducing the image frame plugin, you will see that the first ever image created is actually a 3x3 Woo Studio image made by Minecraft God himself. And if you're curious where the Woo Studio image went, you could actually take it a step further and go to LEGO's stream of pranking the server with images. And you'll see that LEGO took Woo Studio from the battle event arena and moved it to the Nether portal at spawn. Although, the original Woo Studio is in my storage now, because after the images were cleared in the Trial Chambers update, I took the broken Woo Studio and replaced it with my own creation, the Woo Studio with a gun image. Anyway, we're getting off topic. Back to the other options. Most people know about the Walter image, and in fact, I'd say it's much more iconic than Woo Studio. So if you didn't know where to look for the answer, I think you would probably guess one of the two Walter options. And here is the psychology trick thing that I tried to use. When you don't know the answer and there's two almost identical ones side by side, I feel like people would think that the answer is one of the two. But because I'm evil, the correct answer is actually neither, and I hope I did get people with this trick. As for Baljitsu, I needed a fourth option for this. And I went with that because Jace posted this Baljitsu image in Shintarocraft News, and if you saw that but not Woo Studio, you might think that this one is actually the correct answer. And one more thing, Jace chose Walter for his answer. And I mean, I'm not sure if he forgot if he's the one who made the Woo Studio or if he actually did make a Walter before Woo Studio and I didn't know about it, but I'm pretty sure Walter is LEGO's creation. Here. If you look at this list of LEGO's images, see this one here? Walter. Which means that Walter is LEGO's creation and not Jace's. So yeah, I'm pretty sure Woo Studio is the first ever image on the server. Question 9. Why was the spawn gravestone built? And the answer is because of the server hiatus. In mid-December 2024, Jace put the server on a temporary hiatus, and the gravestone was built in the last few days before said hiatus. The answer can be found on the signs at the spawn gravestone build. Yeah, it says so right here. Here lies Shintarocraft, March 22nd, 2024 to December 14th, 2024 for now. Gone but not forgotten. Will be back online sometime in February. Yeah, this is it. In hindsight though, considering how most people got this one correct, this probably should have been one of the first few questions. I did try to bait people with the same trick about the fake options being more detailed than the answer, but I guess the gravestone was common enough knowledge. Question 10. What has energy not crashed out over? Sorry about this one, but it's part of the server lore and I gotta put this in. The answer is losing in pit battles. I'm pretty sure that hasn't happened before, especially considering energy doesn't really fight in pit battles. No access to farms. It mostly refers to when he lost permissions to my gold XP farm, which is kind of common knowledge by now. The color purple is also common knowledge because a lot of the people who took the quiz were there to witness it, or at least saw about it on Discord. And the only bait attempt here was a meme. It refers to his reaction towards the meme pranks at his base, specifically the time LEGO put a finally Baljutsu image in front of his house. So yeah, I didn't get many people with this one. Question 11. What is Beef 2.0's favorite wood type? Allegedly, according to very credible and totally legit historical sources. And the answer is birch. This one is a running gag on the server that I'm partially responsible for. Basically, Beef doesn't like birch, but I kept on giving him birch wood, and now we all insist that it's his favorite wood type to joke around. Now for this one, there are multiple sources, but the intended one is the spawn library. If you go to the spawn library and look around for a bit, you will find a glass display case with birch in it. And the sign says Beef's favorite wood type. See if the very credible and totally legit historical source known as the Spawn Library says it. It must be true. Beef definitely loves birch so much, right? And anyway, apart from the library, you could also search in Shintarocraft General for mentions of beef and birch. Or you could scroll through my YouTube channel and see all the birch prank videos. Or, if you happen to come across LEGO's stream on the Battle Dome event, you might also see some references to Beef loving birch. Question 12. Which armor trim has never been used in an event? And the answer is Ward, which you can find out if you come to my base and check out the event souvenir armor stands on the second floor. Which is what Wiry did to find the answer, and I am so glad that someone found the intended source. Most of the events in the past have unique armor trims on the chest plate. Spire was used in the second tournament event, this one, using lapis as the material on iron armor. Bolt was used in the second battle event for Big Steel's team. This one is Flow because I was on the other team, but like Big Steel's team used Bolt. And Tide is what I used for my Trident PvP event back in July. Other trims have been used in other events, but I won't go over them right now in case I want to use the trivia in a future quiz. Now this next question is one of my favorite ones on the quiz. Question 13. How did Mr. Lego Lover 55 get the post-mortal advancement? Yeah, this one was directed at LEGO. This is part of my scheme to prove my claim, and I was banking on LEGO himself not remembering how he got his post-mortal advancement. Because a few months ago, when I posted old footage of LEGO getting post-mortal on my channel, LEGO commented, "I forgot this was how I got the advancement." So I thought, maybe he would forget it again. Or maybe he would know the answer because he remembered seeing my video. I don't know. Anyway, the answer is try to fight a warden. In August 2024, I built a warden farm and got LEGO to come with me to farm warden heads. And at one point, he tried to mace the warden. However, the warden didn't die in one hit and LEGO ended up getting post-mortal from that warden. LEGO did get this one correct, so I was slightly disappointed. But LEGO did post this in the Discord. Bruh, even I don't remember this. So yeah, I still count this as a win. Like with the question about the pit battles, I gave the other options more details than the correct answer. Maced by a player during pit battles. This was a common enough occurrence at some point. However, for those who paid attention to what LEGO usually has in his offhand, whether in-game or through streams, you will notice that unlike most players, LEGO does not carry a totem in his offhand 24/7. So that would rule out this option, because he would not pop a totem for a sudden unexpected death scenario like this. Fell into lava? That one was just me making up a plausible enough reason for LEGO to nearly die. With the common knowledge that LEGO is good at PvP, you wouldn't expect a near death to be caused by a mob, and like I said, he would not pop a totem to unexpected deaths, so I didn't put things like fall damage or kinetic energy. Blown up by TNT while demolishing the spawn lava cast. Yeah, this one was bait, with overly specific details, and I'm glad I got a lot of people with this one. I think that most people would know that there was once a giant lava cast at spawn, and that LEGO was the person who did most of the work to get rid of it, so people would probably choose this because of the partial truth in the option, hopefully. I may be evil for this, I don't know. Question 14. Which mob has killed Kate? And the answer is a wither skeleton. I talk about this death fairly often in game, but the most likely where you're getting the answer for this is on my blue sky. In June this year, I was in the Nether Fortress and I ended up dying to a wither skeleton, and I made a post about it that Rexter still remembers, which is awesome by the way. The main bait for this question is the fourth option. None, Kate has never died to a mob. Because when I talk about this wither skeleton death, I usually start with something like I have never died to a mob except once, and if you missed the except once or forgot about it, well, you will fall for my bait. Like this, LEGO got this one wrong, as did Ismail and Jess and some other people. Question 15. What was the first wiry magician death? And the answer to this one is that he drowned. This is another one that I designed for my claim. Wiry definitely does not remember his first death, but I do. When he first joined, he jumped down to LEGO's basement but couldn't find a way back up, so he drowned to respawn. And I know that off the top of my head without going through any logs. And I was right. Wiry got it wrong. He chose suffocated in a wall. And I am so happy that he chose that one, because that means I got him. In a past conversation on Discord, I brought up a lot of weirdly specific details about Wiry's earliest days on Shintarocraft, and one of the things I mentioned a lot was how he suffocated in a wall when Jace reset the arena with the fill command during the second TNT war. With all that being said though, this question is technically researchable. LEGO streamed the second battle event, and if you look at the in-game chat, you will see that Wiry's first death was drowning. But then again, this is impossibly obscure, and I'm an evil bird, so deal with it. Died to a player in Battle Event 2 was bait for anyone who remembered or found out through Discord messages that the battle event was Wiry's first day, and I think I may have tricked LEGO with this one. See, he chose died to a player in Battle Event 2 for question 15. Killed by LEGO for his head. So for this one, it's common knowledge that LEGO is one of the most active player head collectors on the server, along with Ismail, and he would sometimes go around straight up asking people for their heads, and I think the bait worked, because almost half the people chose this option. Question 16. What is the name of the spawn lava cast? Yes, it had a name. And the answer is Mount Egalt, a name coined by DC himself. I'm actually surprised at how many people got this one right, to be honest, because this is obscure trivia that only the earliest players would know about. However, a decent amount of people still fell for the other bait options, so I'm still happy about this. Mount DC. With DC being DC, I think that people would find it plausible that he named a lava cast after himself. Land of Lava Cast. This refers to an area around Rexter's village and not far south from my Trial Chambers farm. And there's like a dozen or more lava casts with different sizes. It was named by DC and it's an interesting place. And while the existence of the place was fairly common knowledge, I was hoping to get some people who might have heard the name but have never seen the place for themselves. Like, maybe they would guess that the Spawn lava cast is what we call the land of lava cast. Shintaro Mountain. Yeah, no such place exists on the server at the moment. However, with the server being called Shintarocraft, I think it would be plausible for DC to name the lava cast Shintaro Mountain. In hindsight though, I probably should have added it doesn't have a name as an option, and maybe I would get more people with that. I probably should have also specified that I was asking for what DC named the lava cast, because I think Rexter thought other people have given the lava cast a name. Question 17. Who has played on the original Shintarocraft server? The answer is Matt, and you know what my favorite part of this is? Matt himself doesn't remember playing on the original server. I have proved once again that I remember things about people that they don't remember about themselves. But how exactly did I find out that Matt played on the old server? The answer lies in one of LEGO's old streams. Around a year ago, I was researching old Shintarocraft lore and I came across a familiar name in the YouTube chat of this specific stream. It was Matt, and they were asking about joining the server, and soon enough, Matt joined the game, as you can see in the in-game chat. They also show up on screen briefly later on in the stream. It was a bit of random trivia that stuck in my head for so long, and now I finally got to use it in the lore quiz, which I am so happy about. As for the rest of the options, I assumed that most of the test takers would be newer players who only started within the past 6 months, so I just put down some names of some relatively longer Shintarocraft players. Beef was active enough to be recognizable, but not active enough for the newer players to know that much about him. As for me and Energy, we were both day 1 players on this server, so I hope that people would assume that we were also on the old server. Question 18. Who is the longest surviving Nether Hub Piglin intern? And the answer is Todd, who had been there since the completion of the Nether Hub all the way back in June 2024, and he only died in November this year to the hands of a hacker. Gorm and Atticus were day 1 interns as well, but they both died fairly early on. Atticus died to Egg's Thorns around September 2024, and Gorm died to Ghost's Thorns in October 2024. Here. This is the announcement of Atticus's death. Evil Atticus was the replacement for Atticus, but he quote-unquote died during the October 2024 Nether rollback. So yeah, Todd lived for 17 months, and that makes him the longest surviving Piglin intern. Question 19. Who is the original owner of the map with the ID number 1? This question and the last one are genuinely impossible to answer without luck, because I am the only source for this. Or actually, you might remember if you took part in this, but I highly doubt it because they're literally way too obscure. The answer is Jace. I have his base claimed to prevent griefing, and at one point I got curious about what he had in his chest, so I took a peek. Yeah, sorry Jace. I ended up finding map number 1, the first ever map created on Shintarocraft. Or so I thought. More about this on quiz 2, but anyway. I threw in a bunch of day 1 player names, but I think a lot of people just guessed that since Jace is the owner of the server and probably had to do some tests before letting everyone else in, it would only be logical that Jace would be the owner of the first map of the server. So yeah, the bait wasn't too effective with this one. What I found interesting though is, you see, one person voted for me. Lego got this one wrong. He thought I was the original owner of the map, but Lego is the only person besides Jace who might know the answer and not need to guess. Because shortly after I found map number 1 in Jace's storage, I made a copy and gave it to Lego. And I told him where it came from. Here. But then again, this is an impossibly tiny detail, and I think I'm the one who has a problem for still remembering this. Question 20. What is the name of the Enderman farm Endermite? The answer to this is Joe. And I feel like the only people who could possibly know the answer to this is me and the person who came up with the name. And I'm not saying it right now because this may come up in the future quiz. I mean, while you can't see the name of a mob in a minecart, it is possible to find out the name without touching the endermite. But I figured that no one would be obsessed enough to go to the lengths I did in April 2025 to find the name. So what I did was I used Lightmatica to copy a small chunk of the Enderman farm that included the endermite. And then I pasted the schematic into a single player world. And I broke the minecart and found out that the endermite's name was Joe. As for the other options, the first and the second are actually my naming convention for mobs. One of the dolphins at my base is called Don't Despawn, and the other one is called Dolphin. Yeah, I'm terrible at coming up with good names for mobs, so I just do that. And Mindroid is a completely made up name. As far as I know, there are no mobs named Mindroid on the server. And I'm surprised, because literally no one picked Endermite? I don't know, I thought I could get a few people with that one. Don't Despawn though did get a few people, as did Mindroid. And I didn't expect Joe to be the most selected option. Although, some people said that they chose Joe because it felt like the only real name. So considering the reasoning, I suppose it makes sense. So yeah, that's about it for the answers. And now I want to go over the results of the quiz. So first, remember how I said that this quiz was meant to be impossible to pass? So let's see. The score distribution looks pretty even. Most people scored around 40 points, give or take a few. And the highest score here is 60. That's Weevy's score. So that means Weevy wins, right? Wrong. Because look at this. Someone got a freaking perfect score. Gino won the quiz with a score of 100 out of 100. It was already surprising enough for a newer player like Weevy to get a passing grade and actually surpass day one players like Lego and Rexer and even Jace, the server owner himself. Because like a lot of the questions here draw from server lore that happened long before any of these new players even joined. But for Gino, an even newer player, who only became more active within the past few weeks, to get a perfect grade? Although, I suppose the fact that since he wasn't there for all this, it actually might have made him immune to some of the bait options that I designed with longer active players in mind. This kind of outcome is genuinely so fascinating. I wanted to see how Gino got his answers, and he sent me a whole list of links. And it turns out, while Lego's streams and my personal logs are the only sources for a 100% confirmed answer for many of the questions, there were so many Discord conversations that could actually point you in the right direction. I did not consider that, and it's actually so cool. Really, no words can describe just how elated I am to see people do research and take my quiz so seriously. And another thing that made me really proud is that this quiz does prove my point. Lego, Matt, and Wiry didn't remember the answer to their questions, and shortly after I released the quiz, Toast, Hello My Name Oof, and Red challenged me separately to come up with trivia about themselves, and none of them answered my questions correctly. So, I believe this means I fully justified my claim that I remember things about people that they don't even remember about themselves, right? And lastly, before I go back to playing more Shintarocraft, with the release of this video, this means that the first Shintarocraft lore quiz is officially over. I did make a second one though, so if you want to try your hand at a lore quiz, here's your chance. The link is in the description. I will eventually make an explanation video like this one for quiz 2, but I'll probably wait a while for more submissions before doing it. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions or suggestions about the quiz, and if not, I'll see you in the quiz 2 explanation video.